and welcome to the Black Bushcraft channel. Today what I want to do is collect up some black walnuts, process those down, and create an antiseptic wash that I can use in the field. The black walnut tree is a very potent medicinal tree that I have in my area, and there are several parts of the tree that can be used medicinally. The inner bark can be used to make decoctions. The leaves themselves are very astringent, can be used to make infusions or like a tea. And the most potent part of the tree is the outer hull on the nut itself. And that's what I'm going to be working with today. And that hull will help me to create an antiseptic wash that's not only antibacterial, but antiviral and antifungal. And this can be used in a lot of different ways. One, it can be used to disinfect wounds, any type of wound on the outer skin. And it can also be used to treat things like ringworms. And as an added bonus, this is also useful as a brown colored dye that can be used on cloth or any type of material. So I'm going to collect up some of those walnuts. We'll take a look at what the tree looks like, and then we'll go through the process of creating the actual wash itself. So stick with me and we'll get started. Just before I collect up some of the walnuts, I wanted to give you a quick look at the black walnut tree, just so you can recognize it and identify it if you're not already familiar. You can see what the leaf structure looks like here. The leaves are exactly parallel to each other as we go down the stem here. The leaves, see in relation to my palm, but they're very more narrow and more long and pointed in their shape. And a lot of times the branches will hang down like this. This kind of droops down. It almost reminds me of a willow tree, but there's definitely distinct differences between them in appearance. You can see some of the walnuts that are up there. And of course, I'll give you a good look at the walnut itself. All right, here's a good look at the bark of the black walnut. Both these trees that you see center screen are black walnuts. This one is more mature. So it'll give you a close-up of the bark. It's deeply furrowed. It has a distinct appearance. So these are easily recognizable in my mind, the black walnut tree. The shape of the black walnut tree is very distinctive too. As it goes up, a lot of times the branches will go way out to the side and kind of droop over. And that's, I know, by design, because that way it helps to disperse the black walnuts, which are the seeds for the tree, and help the population of the tree to grow. So I'm going to collect a handful of these for us to make that wash out of. These ones are very easy for me to get to. And there's a couple more right here I can get to. And that's really probably enough for my purposes. This is what I've got here. I'm going to make a small batch. Alright, these are the walnuts that I just pulled off of this tree. You can see what they look like. This is a thick outer husk, and on the inside is the actual black walnut itself. And these husks are the most potent part of the tree where we're talking about medicinals. The bark and the leaves are also usable for medicine as well, but this being the most potent part, that's what I'm going to utilize today. And I'm going to need to process these walnuts down. In other words, I'm going to need to cut them up, break them open, and just get the husk separated so I can use that to make my wash. If at any point you're going to process down black walnut hulls, you'll probably want to wear some gloves. I'm going to wear these ones. That's what was in my kit today. Black walnut hulls will dye your hands brown color, and they'll stay that way for quite some time, so I'm going to avoid that by wearing the gloves. I've got my bush pot here. That's what I'm going to collect the processed hulls in, and what I'm going to boil them down to create the wash. I could use the pole of my axe to process these down, but I looked in my truck and actually had my little hickory maul, so I'm going to use that instead and save my axe for another time. So anyway, all I'm going to do now is process down these hulls, and then we'll get them over the fire. Alright, so processing down these black walnuts is not complicated. It's just a matter of smashing them. And that way you can separate the nut from the hulls. And here's a good example. This is the walnut itself. That's the black walnut inside. And then here's all the hull that's left. And that's what we're going to be putting in the bush pot to extract the medicinal qualities from. I'm just going to leave the walnuts out for now. So that's all it is. It's just smash it. I'm trying to hit it softly because I don't want it to go everywhere when it busts. There we go. So that's all whole right there. That's the good stuff that we want. And then just peel this walnut out. And if you hit it soft, you won't bust the walnut. If you hit it hard, you'll smash the walnut all up. So just lightly tap it. That's it right there. It comes off nice and clean. Large chunks. And I guess if the little bit of the walnut got in there, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But I always just set them aside. That one split nice. Another whole walnut there. Just break that up. So you can see what I got in the bush pot here. Now I might could mash this stuff down a little bit better, and by doing that I may be able to extract the medicinal qualities out a little bit faster. So I'm just smash these larger pieces down a little bit, create a little more surface area. At the end, we'll strain all this stuff back out anyway. You could easily use a hammer stone from the field to do this if you didn't have a maul or an axe. That would do just fine. One more here. And that's it. Here's all the walnuts that are left. And so that's the nuts themselves. And there's the hulls down in the bush pot. We'll get a fire going, cover these with water. We'll be ready to make some medicinal wash. Alright, now that I got my fire going, I'm going to cover the black walnut hulls with water. Just enough down in there to cover the hulls, maybe a little extra there. We'll let this fire ease down just a hair. And I'm going to get that over the fire. Because I don't want to boil this real heavy, just maybe simmer it a little bit. Because I don't want to take a chance at killing any of the medicinal qualities of the actual hulls. So as soon as this fire burns down a little, we'll get this on the fire. Alright, so it's been at least 10 minutes or more since the last time I pulled the pot off the fire. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And I'll let the fire kind of die down and just be low. I've still got a lot of heat coming up here. It's like 85 degrees outside anyway, so it feels hot regardless. Oh yeah, that's looking perfect. Let me bring the camera in so you can take a better look. Alright, so this is what our black walnut wash looks like right now. Basically, to me, it looks like a pot of black coffee. That stuff is dark, dark brown, almost black in color, which tells me that we've been able to extract a lot of the compounds that we wanted to make it a medicinal wash. The Jugalone, the tannins especially, is going to help that brown color, and especially the iodine. I'm going to put this back over the fire, let it simmer for maybe just a few more minutes just to make sure that we're good, and then we'll strain this off and finish up. Alright, so I've gone ahead and taken my pot off the fire quite a while ago, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, and just let it kind of cool down. You can see that the fire's pretty much died down. There's nothing left but just a coal bed. I had meant to bring a glass jar with me to collect my wash in, but I forgot to bring that. So I'm improvising with some water bottles that I had in my truck. And first I'm gonna filter it out with a bandana into this half, and then I'll pour that into here and put a top on it so I can carry it with me. I brought with me a white bandana in my kit. The nice thing about that is you'll be able to see what kind of a dye that this solution would be useful for as well. So let's see if we can do this. Maybe I won't spill it everywhere. Just push the bandana down in here, create a little pocket. It will help to collect some of the holes. And I'm going to use one leather glove here just in case this pot's a little hot to the touch. I know the handle's okay. You'll see the color when it comes out. It's literally almost black. I'm thinking my container might be getting kind of full there. Yeah. And here's what's left in the pot. Not sure how well you can see that down in there. Holes look a lot different now. It's just brown and black in there, whereas we had green before. Alright, so here's the stain on the bandana. And of course it would help to soak that in a while to get a darker brown, but you can see how brown that is. And if I were to soak this in that solution completely, submerged, that would bring this bandana to a kind of a khaki color, earth color. And here's our solution, our iodine wash, or black walnut wash. You can see it looks like black coffee. All right, so I'm going to get that into my container for transport. Hopefully I can do this without making too much of a mess. The bandana does a great job of keeping all the sediment out from the holes. Stuff has a potent smell. It almost smells like kind of like a fruit drink maybe. It's got a little bit of a sweet scent to it. It's got a medicine-y scent a little bit too. But that's what we just got from all of that process, and this would make a nice wash for any type of wound to use as an antiseptic, antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral. Definitely good stuff to have. This stuff almost looks like betadine solution, if you're familiar with that. That's the finished result. I'd like to thank you guys for taking the time to tune in to this video on how to make an antiseptic wash from the black walnut tree. As I mentioned, there are other parts of the tree that can be used to make medicine as well, including the inner bark and the leaves. And maybe I'll come back and talk about those things more in detail on a later video. In my mind, knowing plant and tree medicine is very important for an outdoorsman or bushcrafter. So definitely take the time to study these things in depth, do your own research, and get out and practice. I appreciate your interest and support. If you haven't subscribed, please do, and I look forward to talking to you with another video as soon as possible. Until then, take care. God bless.